Volodymyr, thank you so much for sketching this out, this pathway, the story of Ukrainian grid in times of war. I encourage you to raise your virtual hand, and while you're thinking about your question, let me pose one to begin with. I remember the first time I met you at your office at Ukrenergo, and we talked about the grid. I asked you a question, what do you wish you had had then in February 2022, knowing what you know now? What sort of equipment, what sort of things and prepare what kind of measures of preparedness that would have helped you weather the onslaught, the barrages, missile barrages, and attacks against the infrastructure better? So over to you.
Yeah, so first year of this invasion, the most frequently used word in my vocabulary was auto-transformer. Okay, so Ukrainian system has roughly 200 high voltage auto-transformers on a controlled territory. This auto-transformer capacity is able to deliver more than 40 gigawatts of power from transmission to distribution grid. Imagine that during this incomplete 3 years of invasion, Ukrenergo managed um, to renovate almost 190. So in 3 years, we had to replace almost full auto-transformer capacity in our transmission grid. And when Russians first started attacks on the electric system, they focused on auto-transformers first. And without their defense, we were losing a lot of those. We were losing like 15, 20 at a time. And we were on the phone with the whole world trying to secure auto-transformers from the stock. And you know what? It turned out that in the whole world, we were only able to find up to 5 items. And this is a huge vulnerability of every electric system, frankly speaking, because manufacturing of one high voltage auto transformer takes, let's say, roughly 7 to 8 months. Transportation and installation normally takes 3 months. We learned at Ukrenergo how to do it in 3 weeks. But 3 weeks is still long enough if one of your regions is without power supply because your auto transformers that transmit power from transmission to distribution grid are destroyed. So first and foremost, for grid controller, grid operator, auto transformer stock and the stock of other types of critical equipment is absolutely vital. And I can assure you that no one in the world has such a stock. In 2022, we were lucky that we had a stock of up to 40 items that were used once, and we kept them, we replaced them in the past, and we kept them just for the case. And we used this old auto transformers to survive first winter campaign, 22-23. And then we had to order from most of the factories in the civilized world another more than 180 items, which combined represent probably 90+% of total Ukrainian transformer capacity in transmission grid. So this is number one. Number two, in 2019, we were lucky enough to adopt a corporate strategy which assumed that we would keep the critical staff inside the company. So Ukrenergo is currently consists of 8,000 people, of which 6,000 are field engineers. So we literally had to do everything to replace all this equipment by ourselves using our own hands. You cannot, especially during the start of the invasion, nobody can rely on contractors. Contractors are not there. Contractors are absent. Everyone is shocked, is panicking. Millions of people are evacuating from east to west. And if you have your infrastructure under shelling, you cannot rely on external parties. This is lesson number 2. Lesson number 3, you cannot have, you only can have, if you talk about substations of electric grid or transmission grid level substations, you need to have huge open air switch yards because it's very resilient to missile attacks. I can tell you that in 2022, I visited one substation near Kiev, which was heavily shelled by 3 Iskander missiles. So I went there 3 hours after the shelling, and this substation looked like terribly. It was just, I thought we would not be able to put it into operation in the nearest 4 to 6 weeks. But you know what? We switched on lights for the customers in this same very day because we had this possibility to use, let's say, to reroute power flows through our substation because we had this huge open air switch yard. It may be a little bit more costly and a little bit less efficient in terms of economics, but it's much more resilient. And basically, this is something that saved us a lot of times during this invasion. So, and of course, air defense. Density of air defense is something that takes down 85 to 90% of all the ammunition that tries to target your infrastructure, and you have to deal with the rest 10%. If we had more dense in air defense systems at this time of the beginning of this campaign against electric system, the consequences were much less catastrophic for us. So air defense, of course, is something that is absolutely vital for more or less normal operation of the power system during war.